G'day everybody, Nick Dingley here for the fourth and final part of our word processor tutorial series. In this video, we're going to attack the insert picture button finally. We're going to have a look at the save as, save, new, open, quit. And then finally, we're going to set up all of our other little buttons here that we've got. And then I'll set you some challenges that you can go away and have a go at by yourself. But for right now, I think the first thing we should tackle is going to be this insert picture button right here, because we're actually going to make use of the save and open file dialogues massively. So the insert picture is a good way to introduce to people how the open file dialog works. So for the start, I need to set up a few properties for it. So if we come down here and click on open file, which is what I name my open file dialog, the first thing is sometimes there's a default open file dialog 1 in the file name. The first thing I want you to do is clean that out, delete it. Okay? And the second property I want you to change is in the title. Just type something similar to this, select a file to open. And what this is, what an open file dialog is, if I go to file here and I click open file, this dialog that is just shown in front of me here is an open file dialog. Every single version of Windows seems to have a different one, or they've tweaked it slightly. So utilizing this open file dialog object rather than making your own form means whatever version of Windows your user is using, they get their version of the open file dialog. So it's a really good idea to make heavy use of this open file and save file dialogs in your programs. Righto, now I've explained that, let me quickly show you one property that we are going to use but we're not going to change in the properties bar. There's one called filter. Now when I go to open a file, you'll see right here it's got all files. That there is the file filter. That tells me what files are available. And all files, aka asterisk dot asterisk, means any files named with any name. Okay, I can filter them out by some of these ones here. Let's say I only want text files, then it's asterisk dot txt. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a filter for our insert picture button, which is image files. Alright, and I'm going to show you how to do that, but we can't set it here on the right. Mainly because when we do an insert picture, we're going to use the open file dialog for pictures, but then when we do file open, we're going to do an open file dialog for our document files. Alright, so let's go into our picture button. Double click on this guy. And I'm going to zoom in because it always zooms me out. And I'm going to pop my code just in here. So the first thing we're going to do is set the filter to that thing. So set the file filter. Alright, and then we go open file dot filter equals, and then quotes because it's a string. Now, this might look a little bit awkward, but basically there's actually two parts to every file filter. The first part is the text you can see. The second part is the actual filter behind the text. And then you can have even more, but we're only going to do one because we're lazy. So basically the image we want to come up is image file. So you just type it in there. Now I'm not going to put anything, I'm not going to have brackets like they do in this open file dialog. I'm just going to keep it simple. And the way to specify the file filter behind the text is you do a horizontal line. So that's shift and backslash. Okay, or on my keyboard it is anyway. And then you specify the file filters. So the most common image file that comes to my mind is JPEG. So you go asterisk dot JPG. So it's going to pick up any file named .jpeg. But there's obviously more image types than just .jpeg. There's GIFs, there's PNGs, there's bitmaps, there's heaps of other stuff. So what you do to specify more than one file type or file filter, you put a semicolon and then you specify the next one. So all of these file filters, these two, will apply to image files. Okay, so we keep going. GIF, PNG, TIFF. What else can we think of? What have I missed? Oh, BMP, of course. And I'm going to be lazy and leave it at that. If you want to add even more file types in there, you probably can. But just be wary, some of them may not work properly. These are going to be guaranteed to work because they're pretty basic file types. Alright, and that's it. So to test that out, we need to show the file filter first so we can see it happen. So the way you show a file, an open file dialog, is you do the name of it, dot show dialog. Alright, let's test it out. Press play, insert picture, and there you are. Up the top it says select a file to open. On the right, I've got image files, and there we go. And it's going to filter out anything of that type. It's not going to display anything else. Alright, so how do we actually make use of this now? Well, we can't just say show dialog and then just start working with things. We actually have to make sure that when we show the dialog that the user presses the OK button, because they can select the cancel button or the cross at the top or anything else. So we need to make sure they click the OK button and they've selected a file. So let me get rid of that for the moment. We're going to do a quick if statement for that. You go if open file show dialog equals, and then you get all these different options here. So obviously the result we want is OK. Then we're going to load the picture. Alright, so that's that. Let me just put a quick comment in there. Check if the user presses the, oh my god, OK button. Alright, so set the file filter, show the dialog and make sure they press the OK button, and then if they do, we're going to load the file. So how do we know where what file they have selected? Pretty straightforward. There's an open file.file name. That's actually going to contain the name of the file that they've selected. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to load the picture, and then strangely enough we're going to copy it to the clipboard and paste it into the rich text box. Alright, it took me a little while to figure out the best way of doing this, and this is the neatest way I've found. So to load it into memory, we actually need an image variable type. So I'm going to go dim image as an image. And to load it from a file, this is an easy piece of code you can use, equals image.fromFile. And what's the file name? Well, it's coming straight from OpenFile. So you go openfile.filename. And that's going to grab the file and load it into our variable img, or image. As I said before, we're going to place it into the clipboard and paste into text box. Now, I found this works pretty darn well. The biggest problem is if you delete the original image, it disappears, unfortunately. It seems to make a link only. And if I find a better method, I'll make a reply video with that in it. So not paste into the clipboard, copy into the clipboard. So to do so, you type in clipboard, difficult stuff, set image, img, and that copies it into the clipboard, and then we go, and then we paste it into the text box. So RBT content, paste. Alright, and that's it. So open a file, once it's selected it, load the image, copy it to the clipboard, paste it into the text box. Like all good code, we'll test it quickly. So insert picture. I've got my teamwork file there. There he is. Awesome. Righto, that's the insert picture 100% complete. Done. Dusted. And hopefully that's a decent enough intro into the open file dialog. However, what we're going to attack now is the save as. And there's a reason I attack it in this order. The reason being is because when we click save as, it's going to ask them where they want to save it and what file name it's going to be. Once they've selected that, we save the file. And it's quite easy to do the saving. It's all the stuff beforehand that's not easy. And the reason we do the save as first is because when you click save, it's going to check if the user has saved before. If they haven't, then it's going to call on save as. Alright, if they have saved before, then it just does a quick little save operation. Alright, and that's going to be really, really handy. So let's double click on this save as guy and let's get started. So obviously we're not going to use the open file dialog, we're going to use the save file dialog. So what I need to do, I'm a bit of an idiot and I forgot we should have set up some properties for this guy here. So very, very similar. If there is a file name in there, get rid of it. This time we can actually put the filter in here because it's not going to ever change. It's always going to be a document type. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking that we're going to use a .doc file type. We're not. We're actually going to have to use an RTF, it's called, a rich text file document. So let's call it RTF document. Put a horizontal line, just like we did before, *.rtf. Alright, so that's going to say RTF document and it's going to filter out everything with .rtf, so it just looks neater. Next thing, down the bottom, let's set the title. Select a file name to save, dot, dot, dot. Alright, that's the settings done. I can stop being an idiot. We can go back to form code and we can start showing open the save file dialog. So same code as we did just above. You're going to go if save file dot show dialog equals OK. Then we get started. Alright, if that was too quick, pause the video and let's keep on moving along. Let's hide this guy. So all we do, essentially, that whole process, that one line of code is going to show the dialog, it's going to ask them for a file name, and they're going to click OK, and it's going to give us all those properties back. So let's press start, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. If I go to File and Save As, it says select a file name to save. I can go Poodles, and click Save, and that's done all for us. And to get the file name is the same way that we got the file name from the open file dialog. It's just .filename. So the first thing we're going to do is actually save the file, and there's an awesome function built into rich text boxes. It is .save file. So what's the path that we're going to save it in? Well, it's the save file name. And that's going to save the file exactly where the user selects it. Now, this is where dirty comes into it. If you remember dirty all the way back to the second video, dirty is always true if there are unsaved changes. Well, they've just saved their file, so dirty now equals false. So you mark the text box as dirty as false, and it means they've saved all of their changes. All right, and that's pretty much it for that bit. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to remember what file they've selected, so remember the file name. And we're also going to set the form's title to the file name. And the reason we do that is just quite nice. If you've ever used Word and you save a document, you'll notice at the top it's actually got your file name in the top. For example, just in Visual Studio, you can see Word Processor 2. That's the name of my project. So sometimes it's a nice idea just to do that. So this is where, remembering the file name, this is where I'm going to scroll up. This guy comes in. He's been sitting there lonely for a long time, and we're going to finally bring him into it. So we're going to go file name equals save file dot file name, so we never ever forget it. We're then going to set the text of the form to word processor dash and then the file name. Okay, and that is it for saving, or saving as I should say. So show the dialog, save the contents, mark it as clean, remember the file name, and then update the title of the form. So let's press play and try this out. Let's just go hello, go to File, Save As. What do I call it? Poodles. Click Save. No errors. And the one thing you'll notice is the file name gives us the entire file path. Now, I don't particularly like that personally. I would prefer it just to say poodles.rtf or poodles even after the dash. So what we're going to do is change our code slightly. But before we do, let's make sure it's saved. There's my poodles. And guess what? Because it's .rtf, I can actually open it in Word. And it says hello. So we're actually compatible with Microsoft Word. That makes our program all the more better. Now, I want to cut down this. I don't want it to display the entire path of the file. I just want the file name. So to do that, we go io.path.getFilename and put brackets around it. And what this does is it just simply gets the file name from a path. So this is an entire path of a file. This guy's just going to give us the name of the file. So quick test. Let's go hello. Control-Shift-S works perfectly. I'm going to save over the top of the poodles. This is another great thing about the save file dialog. Alright, it just says poodles.rtf. I think that looks really nice. Wondrous. That's save as done. And realistically, the next step would be to go to save. So let's do that. Let's quickly go back to the form. Let's go to save. Alright. And how is this basically going to work? Well, save, if they have saved before, it's just simply going to save any changes since they've done that. If they have not saved at all, then it's going to call on the Save As button. So they have to ask, it asks for a file name, tells them where to put it, things like that. Alright, and how can we check if they've saved before? Well, it's right here in our file name. If the file name is empty, they have not saved. So let's do that right now. We need to do an if statement. So check if the file has been saved. If file name equals nothing, then we call upon our save as button. Alright, rather than writing all this code again, what you do is you just use the name of the sub. This guy I've just highlighted here. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it just here in this blank spot. Problem is we need to pass it two parameters, sender and e. Now, easiest way to get around this is just do nothing, nothing. And at this level of programming, that's fine. Later on, you might need to pass it something. Call on the save button. Okay, so that's if they have not saved, then we call on the save button to ask them for a name, and it's going to handle the saving for us. Else, save the file. So all we're doing right now is we're just going to save any changes that happened and mark the file as clean. So to do that, I'm just going to steal these lines just here. Okay, just this save file and dirty. But I'm not going to use savefile.filename. I'm just going to use our good old friend's file name just there. And believe it or not, that's actually your save button done. So to quickly show you exactly what's going on here, if I click on File, Save. Now because I have not saved, it should ask me to. And there you go. It's asking me to save where I want. I'm going to save over Poodles. If I click Save again, it does not ask me. And that's it. That is done for the saving. Your saving is 100% complete. So the next one, I want to actually tackle quit, because this is going to introduce a nice little concept and probably make use of dirty a lot more than it has been. So let's double click on this guy and let's go and start coding. So when they go to quit, this is actually really, really easy. We're just going to close the form because there's only one form, and if we close it, the whole program's going to shut down. Now, if you remember any of your code from the previous projects, it's just me.close. And it's going to shut the program down for you. However, it's always a good idea. Now, if I quickly press this X in the top right to exit Visual Studio, it's going to ask me if I want to save. It's actually a really good idea to check if there's any unsaved changes. If there are, ask them if they want to save them. Okay? So first of all, we need to check if the text box is dirty. And this is the whole purpose of having this dirty variable. That's the whole reason we have it. So if dirty equals true, then we have unsaved changes. Okay, so we're going to have a dialog pop up and say, do you want to save your changes, yes or no? If they select yes, then we save them for them, okay, using our save button just here. Otherwise, we just close the program, okay, just let them close. So we actually do the message box very similar to the way that we do the save file dialog. We do the show dialog and all that stuff, except for we go if message box.show. What's the question we want to ask? Do you want to save your changes? Okay. Unfortunately, by default, there is only an OK button on text boxes, so we need to extend on that. And we need to make it show a yes and a no button. So if you put a comma here, okay, I don't want text, I don't want caption, I don't want text. Where's my buttons? Okay, so the caption I'm going to have is confirm with a question mark, comma, and then the buttons. So I got a bit ahead of myself there. We need the message that's displayed, the caption that's in the box, and then what buttons. So we're going to have the yes-no ones for this one. And you can close your bracket and put an equals. If they press, whoop, not okay, they press yes, there's a nice long bit of code for you. It's even a big if statement. Let me just scroll across, pause the video if you need to copy that down. So if they select yes to saving their changes, then we're going to call on this function right here. So let's copy this, paste it here, and same as before, nothing, comma, nothing, if we ever call on other functions like that. Alright, call on the save button. Alright, almost done, because that's going to save the changes if they want to. Now, interestingly enough, if they have changes and they haven't saved their file at all, we call on the save button. If they haven't saved their file, the save button is going to call on the save as button. So it's going to handle all of the saving for us. And then after the saving's done, it closes the form, quits like normal. So let's try this out. Let's go hello. Let's go quit. Do you want to save your changes? I'm going to go yes. Let's go poodles. And it closes the program. And it saves my file and everything. How good is that? That is the quit button completely done. And let's move on to the new button. So double click on Mr. New. Here's the interesting thing though, when you make a new document, if you have unsaved changes, you're going to go through this whole process again of checking if it's dirty, asking if they want to save the changes, calling on the save button, blah, 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 blah. So what I'm going to do, because we're going to repeat this in the new button and the open button as well, we are going to put our own sub just here. And I'm going to call it check dirty. Alright, I'm now going to cut all of this code, so highlight all that stuff there, cut it, paste it inside check dirty, and at the top of our quit, our new, and our open buttons, we're going to call on check dirty every single time. So instead of copying this code into the new button, I'm just going to go check dirty. Done. Now I'm going to do everything I need to do for the new button. Alright, so that's going to save any changes if they haven't saved them already. So let's set up the new text box. So basically what we want to do for the new button is revert everything to the original settings. So we're going to clear the text box, clear the text box, clear the form title if they're saved. We're going to reset the text box and we're going to clear out the file name. So for that we go file name equals nothing, dirty equals false because there's no changes now. Change the caption of the form to word processor, and then reset the text box. RBT content, reset text. And that's your new button done. Pause the video if you need to finish that off. We're going to quickly jump into the open button, and it's going to allow us, let's double click on it, it's going to allow us to open existing documents that we've saved. So the first thing is check dirty. Bingo. Okay. This is when I was talking about the file filter, and the reason we set it in code is I now need to set the file filter to rich text documents or RTF documents. So we're going to change the file filter just here. So open file.filter equals RTF documents, horizontal line, star.rtf. Exact same thing that we had in the save file dialog, just in code. Alright, now let's show the dialog. So show dialog, open file dialog, I should say. So if open file.show dialog equals okay, then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to open up the file. So the first, let's go open the file. Exceedingly easy to do this, by the way. RBT content dot load file. And then you pass it the open file name. Just like we did with the save file dialog. Alright. We're now going to set dirty to false because, well, all the changes have been saved. We're going to set the file name to the open file name because it's changed. And then because I want the title of the form to show the file name again, we're going to do the same thing that we did up in the save. Oh, sorry, was it save as? Yeah. Up here, I'm just going to highlight this guy here, copy him, come back down, paste him just here. So we load the file, mark it as clean, grab the file name, and then set up the form title. Alright, so let's try this out. Let's load up our poodles, because he's there. Open, poodles, works perfectly. Let's try the new as well. Perfect, it's clean, there's nothing in the title. Let's quit. And that's it. How does that sound? We are almost done. There's 3 things that we have to do, and they're going to be piss easy. We go to your form, double click on your new tool strip button, and we're going to call on this guy right here. I should say new tool strip menu item. So let's copy his name paste him in the tool strip button, pass him nothing, nothing, just like we did with the others. Alright, I'm going to quickly do the other two. I hope I'm not going too quick for you people. Nothing, nothing. And then the save button is going to be my save dialog. I'm just going to steal this line of code actually because we're already calling it. And we're done. That is the project 100% complete. All the functions are working, all the buttons are working, all of our menu items are working, and it works like a very small, niche word processor. I hope you've enjoyed these videos, everybody. I hope you learnt something about them. And if you've got any comments, suggestions, or requests, pop them down in the comments below. Think about subscribing if you like these videos because it helps me out massively. And as for the challenges, there is plenty of things that you may have been thinking the whole way that you'd like to do, but I'm going to suggest some right now. Adding a color dialog so you can change the color of the text. Adding different fonts so you have a drop down for different font faces you can change. Text alignments such as to the left, to the middle, or the right. There's heaps and heaps of different options that you can have. Even finding a better insert picture method might be awesome. And if you do, post it down below or give me a reply video and I'll check it out and I might even add it to a future video for that one. I hope you've enjoyed this series, everybody. I haven't got an idea for the next project, but hopefully it won't be too long until I add another one. This is Nick Dingle signing off. Thank you for watching, everybody. See you next time.